Hey, it worked this time. All right. Welcome back to another week of madness. And actually, we got a few decent little call-outs to make this week in spite of it being election week. And yeah, we're, expecting a few follow-throughs that don't seem to care about the election. But other than that, there are some plays to take on the election too. But we'd rather be in something that has a higher probability of follow-through, and that's kind of why we have that high accuracy rating. So thanks again for joining us. And I think this week is going to be interesting to say the least. And then Thursday we should have some better setups, I think. But for now, we're kind of short in some stuff and long in some other stuff, and just closing up positions till we can be flat and ready to ride this out and see which way we go. Did make some killer call-outs last week. If you were around for that AMD call-out, spot on. I killed that with a 400% return on my spreads. I paid 8 cents a piece for them and sold them at 40. I'm like, okay, I'll take 400%. Thank you. Way the hell out of the money on my spreads, but that's how I roll. I take some very minimal risks, and I know if I plot, my expiry minus a few days of time. So if I go a week back and look at about where I'd expect price to be and kind of compare spreads, I'd be like, okay, well, even with, a little bit of theta decay, this is where my target would be. So if I'm looking at something where I can get in stupid cheap and then it makes the move, and it made a $10 move and hits my target, I know that I can just basically look at the chain and figure out, well, where's $10 closer to price going to be at that time? And that's my profit goal. And sure enough, it nailed it. It's pretty sweet. I even got to say, and we were kind of joking around with it before the show, even my dogs made a good choice this week. They started barking in the background. I apologize for the noise, but we started talking about Chewy, and we made a damn good call on that too. So, I mean, just to say the least, we like to pick the best setups with the easiest opportunity to see the price action playing out the way we think it'll play out. So we tend to focus on the slam dunk setups, the easy setups, on ignore all the crap. That's just how we trade. It's a big part of why we can maintain such high accuracy. And we also take requests. So I'm going to have one little request I wanted to get into from a friend of mine just before we get started here on the rest of the watch list. And then we're going to go and we're going to call some shots. I think we'll make some pretty good progress on this. So before I do that, how's your week been so far? You been getting into some trouble?
I always get into some trouble.
Us hooligans, man.
What's that?
Us hooligans, man. We gotta keep at it.
We do gotta keep at it. Yeah. No. I always rub people the wrong way with one of my products or another. So.
At least it makes for fun discussion.
It does.
And it helps keep your skills sharp for being able to be a good defense attorney, I guess, in a way. Because I went to law school. But yeah, I mean, you get into, sometimes you're going to have something out there that people aren't going to like, and it's just kind of how it is. I've been a mechanic for many years, and some people hate mechanics. They think we're out to rip people off. No, we're just there to fix your car, and we know that you need your car and you want it fixed. I chose to prioritize things. If things could wait, I'll tell you they could wait. If things needed attention now, I'd tell you, hey man, your life depends on this. You might want to fix that. That's the way I was,
Yeah. And I launched my guns ETF a week after a school shooting. So
yeah, that might make some waves. But
got a few calls about that.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. But how the hell do you time that? I mean, the way things go. I mean, you could launch anything and then have some sort of news pop out that, oh man, perfect timing. Geez, Murphy's Law. Anyway, hang on. Replying to a comment. Good morning. Thank you. And of course, my phone rings right in the middle of this. Anyway, let's get into this. So I have a quick request by a friend of mine, and he was looking at something interesting, and I wanted to deep dive on it, but then I kind of thought, let's wait on this. And maybe Roaring Kitty might even talk about this one, but I don't think so, not yet. But let's see if he does. Funko. Interesting story on the company. I mean, I thought they were circling the drain for bankruptcy at one point. They had kind of too much inventory, not enough demand on the Funko Pops, which were hugely popular. And now all of a sudden they're like the hottest collector's item on the planet, like baseball cards. And everywhere you go, you see them. I mean, when you start seeing them at Walmart and Target, you're kind of on the path of production success, I guess. And they never seem to be short of them. They always have plenty of them on hand, and they do sell. People kind of like those things. But long story short, I was looking at the market structure situation, and yeah, it's pretty much had its market structure moments. We've had the consolidation. I wouldn't say it's like a buyout target, but it's got the kind of price action where things are kind of settling. I don't know who would want to buy them out, but I know that there are some long-term investment people maybe looking at this market structure going, if it breaks out of this is where we would see a trend. Kind of similar to the way I look at things. It's market structure doing its thing. We look at SQ and SoFi and a few others in the same kind of manner. This one, I've got kind of the primary secondary set up on it. It hit the half target, blew through it, kind of approached the full range, but then it stopped just at the top of this control bar back here in June here, and then rejected. So we're looking for consolidation. I was thinking maybe we pull back for about 1070. If things get really shaky and they pull back to like 950, that's a definite long for me. But long term on this thing could be fruitful because this company so far is pretty successful. Maybe they come out with a new toy that catches on even better, or a new collectible that catches on even better, and you never know. But in this industry, it's kind of an interesting hit or miss. I mean, we don't want to see it go the way of Motel, but things can tend to do what the market does with them. And success, well, I mean, they've become wildly successful as a collectible. Could it possibly be something that would be absorbed by a bigger company? It's kind of a question. So maybe that would make it a meme stock. Who knows? But
so I mean, longtime viewers probably know my favorite chart patterns, the undercut and rally, especially at either the 50 or the 200. I like it because it's high probability trade, but also, very easy to figure out where to place your stops. So, I don't know much about the company, but certainly like that pattern.
It's one of my favorites too. And then you come into the halfback on a measured move, and it found support, bounced, and it's got this beautiful rounding top with two distinctive control bars in it, and it hit that range and paused and went right back up. So I mean, I'm liking it to be bullish here. Off of the bounce off at 1140 here. For a trade target, I'd say, about 1350 would be a good target for an exit on that to take some profit off. But long term, if it starts to trend here and market structure follows through, your reversion target could be as high as like 1750. Just kind of look at the previous consolidation range in here. So it's got that setup. It's got that potential. But I mean, key obvious liquidity stops like right at that 1-for-1 mark anyway. So right in there. I'd love to see it trend above this for long-term stuff. So for all the long-term investor types, and this does have some options that are pretty sweet for premium. If you want to be an option seller on this and wheel trade this, it yields pretty good. It's like 6% a month average, which is pretty good, all things considered. So maybe it ends up being a good long-term, but I'm going to be cautious and probably just scalp it for now myself. But I know there's some long-term investors out there who are probably taking some interest in this company right about now. And, targets are going to be pretty easy to pick off if you want to get a better entry than most of your long-term investors. And that's what scalping's all about. We do it all the time. Moving into a couple others here. So let me get back into touch with reality here. Sorry, I got too many windows open and not enough screens to run them, and I don't want to use my other rig here. So you were looking at Viking Therapeutics. And that setup is all too familiar. It's kind of finishing touch on a
undercut and rally at the 50-day.
And long term's looking like a beautiful cup and handle potentially. And we've got, right there, undercut the 50, rally right back up. Halfback target's pretty simple, about $71. It's looking pretty strong. Would you say that this becomes something of a slightly more stable pharmaceutical company, like eventually becomes,
I mean, doesn't look like it at the moment. I mean, I love the weight loss drug theme. So, I owned this, and like everyone else who owned it, was very excited pre-market yesterday when it was up like 20 or 30%.
Yeah.
Obviously disappointed with how things ended up, but I bought more yesterday. So, so far so good. I think, this one, Lilly and Novartis, are the winners in the weight loss drugs. Obviously, that's not been a great theme lately. There could be some, and I don't think it's affecting. I mean, I don't think RFK and, Callie and Casey Means are impacting these stocks. They could if Trump gets in. So that's something to watch out for.
Right.
But I think Big Pharma is so powerful, and I think Americans are so lazy. I think the weight loss drugs will prevail.
I agree. I've got to, being a lazy American myself, I got to force myself to go take a bike ride. I'm trying to do that today. But yeah, I mean, that pill is a simple fix, and as busy as we are, some of us, I mean, we get stuck on a desk job or something, I mean, we don't really have a choice. We sit down for work, and then we get home and we're tired. So we sit down and veg out. That's sometimes how it is.
And in this podcast isn't about this, obviously, no. But it's all diet.
Yep, absolutely. No, it's diet, and then I love exercise. I love eating too. I mean, I'm a healthy weight. I'm kind of a skinny guy.
If you eat the right foods, it is very, very hard to gain weight.
True. And, pretty much everything we eat in this house is made from scratch. I mean, you'll rarely ever see, a box of pastaroni or something like that in this house. Mac and cheese is about the limit occasionally. For the most part, everything we make is from scratch here. And we do eat healthy, balanced diets in this house. So we're all pretty healthy. But yeah, that does make the difference. And yeah, there's going to be some people making a transition from an unhealthy life to a healthy life, and then still not lose the weight. So that's why these pharmaceutical companies will actually benefit here to help people get across that threshold and get into a healthier lifestyle later on. So it's intended to be something that can help you, get across the hurdle that you need to get across to actually see some progress. And then you can stick with the healthy diet, and then start adding some exercise too. But yeah, we don't want to get too much in the weeds on that, but this trade looks pretty good. Reversion is $78, pretty obvious. That would have been a hell of a short for scalpers yesterday. My goodness, a nice perfect 1-for-1 down right back to support. And then again, you said undercut that 50 and rally, baby. There it is. Blam, right on target. Yeah. Even half of that back would stick us at about 71.50. So I mean, that's pretty good looking for a buy opportunity here. Let this little double bottom follow through and then breach $67, and we'll be well underway for a nice rebound trade. On the other side, you had an inverse trade that worked out really well so far. You went short on Planet Fitness.
Yeah, so again, I love the weight loss drug theme. And any theme, I like to look at what I call first order, second order, and third order thinking. First order thinking is the obvious winners. Second order thinking is the ancillary stuff. Third order thinking is who gets hurt. And who gets hurt from the weight loss drugs? It's the gyms, especially, Planet Fitness was in the news a couple months ago for, some locker room stuff.
Yeah.
So, I'm sick of buying the dip on Lilly and Novartis. So I said, screw it. I'm just going to short Planet Fitness instead.
And, it's so far a decent entry. I mean, a little caution. Whenever I see a rounding top like this, I rarely short those until they break support. But this is underway. It has tipped the scale, so to speak, to where the bears are starting to follow through with this. So potentially we get, a half move down here to like 76.50 and a full move down to like 74.50. So it's pretty easy. If we breach that, we might get a twofer and close this gap. So far it's looking like a pretty good short. Just be aware that you want to be a little nimble on these if you're going to scalp it now. Entering here would be a little tricky, but if you kept a tight stop, you'd probably be all right. Just be nimble on this one. And if the momentum takes off, ride it. That's what debit spreads are for too. And this one has just enough options liquidity. I haven't traded it in a while, but usually has just enough options liquidity where the spread's kind of okay, but it's not the best. So you can still take some rather low risk out of the money trades, and maybe look for like a 74.70 or 75.70 spread or something of that nature, and maybe get a pretty low cost entry if you're patient with it or work the order a little bit. So yeah, it could be a decent setup for you if you want to short this. And certainly this morning in the pre-market, I mean, there's somebody selling a lot of that quickly, and I don't think that's tape paint. I think that's going to be possibly a follow-through move. So keep an eye on this. Worst case scenario, if it starts to come back above 78.70, then yeah, you might get stopped out. But so far, it's a good setup. Reminds me of the AMD setup. And then there was Geo. This is another one that's kind of an interesting setup.
Yeah, so Geo is a Trump trade. They make prisons, monitoring systems. It's a name I'm sure we've talked about before.
Yeah.
It was much higher than it is now in the last Trump administration. Came down during Biden. Like all Trump trades, the past 4 days, it's gotten its butt kicked. What that is, I'm not sure. Poly market betting sites, the Puerto Rican joke at Madison Square Garden, who knows? All the Trump stuff is bouncing today. Again, I don't know that you can read anything into that. There's just, there's not enough data. I was talking to a reporter about this morning. In 2016, I knew Trump won way before anyone announced anything because you saw the stock futures start to sell off. But that's after the data was in. And the smart money, if you've ever watched Wall Street where, Michael Douglas is like, most fund managers are throwing darts. I don't throw darts. The smart money who are out there trading futures had people on the ground in the swing states, and they knew, hey, Trump won this thing. Crap, we're selling, S&P. I don't think you can read into this move. I did buy some Geo yesterday when it undercut and rallied above the 50 and the 200. If Trump wins, I think 18 is a nice target. If he loses, I think 12. For me, I'm in options. I don't mind that risk reward. DJT is a name I don't like the risk reward on. But if you bought DJT yesterday, you're pretty happy, I think, still.
I scalped it overnight. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. But I like it. If he loses, it's not going to be a great trade. But if he wins, it will be.
For sure. I mean, we were talking about this last week, and it was pretty easy to plot. I grabbed my regression line and I adjusted it a little bit to kind of play into this move here that we're expecting. We expected basically a mean reversion trade that nailed the target and then some. And now we're just accumulating in that range, and we'll see if we can kind of break that reversion target and start heading back up to fib levels of the previous high, or maybe even resume back into a bullish trade. So yeah, I think this week's going to pretty much solve that for us, and we'll figure out which way to go. But so far, it was a great short. Over since our call out, we're likely to breach this reversion and hit a 1-for-1 down. We marked that out and then popped right off that sucker to a reversion trade. So here we are, another victory for us. our accuracy kills it, guys. You ought to know by now. They get a question on the YouTube here for you. It says, this is Marziti. He asks, hey, Matt, with your undercut and rally strategy, what else do you consider in evaluating a trade on the strategy?
So I start with the theme. It's got to be a theme I like. So I'm not like scanning for undercut and rallies. Like Funko is not. I mean, it's not something I'm going to buy personally, just because I don't know what it does. It doesn't fit into the theme,
right?
Or a theme I follow. The themes I like right now are AI. Maybe Trump stuff if Trump wins, which is things like geo and crypto. I like crypto and gold anyway, because that's a Fed is stupid theme.
Right.
Argentina, the weight loss drugs, self-defense stocks, European aerospace and defense. So those are the main themes that I'm watching. And if I see names within those themes with undercut and rallies, then those are potential entry points for me.
Good point. And geo is certainly one of them with our pretty much overnight dip below that 50 period. And
right. I mean, when the undercut and rally happened yesterday, I'm like, and I got in somewhere in the 13s. Figured my risk is 12, because unlike DJT, I mean, this is a real company. If Trump loses, right, they don't go under. I'm buying options, so I know what my risk is exactly. And,
it's a sensible trade.
I decided to take the risk.
Sensible trade with a pretty nice setup in spite of the volatility. I mean, it hit that target exactly almost, and then bounced like a ball right back to reversion. So, yeah, pretty damn good setup. I like this one. A little fast for a lot of swing traders, but us day traders, we nail that stuff. And then the overnight scalpers, perfect move. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better setup on that one. And we did talk about this last week. We said, we're likely to come through the reversion or support area here. This was actually the regression line, but same thing. I adjusted it to mark right through the middle of this previous consolidation as our line in the sand. We tripped that. We'll likely make a measured move down. Bam, we did. Bounced right off of it. Sweet move. That's the kind of setup we love to trade, and that's why we are as accurate as we are. We look for the simple, easy trades that set up like this, and if you focus on those and ignore all the choppy crap, your win rate goes way in your favor. Just saying, Let's get into a couple others. So I'm looking at. I'll probably go over the stuff we did last week real quick, and then I'll get into my list, which is very short. I only got a couple things on there for this week.
Yeah, don't forget EQT.
Yeah. Let's have a look. EQT.
Yeah, so EQT, so yesterday, and we've been on the whole nuclear thing. Yesterday, the FERC, which is the Federal something committee, I forget, they rejected Amazon's nuclear deal, and that crushed all the nuclear stocks. I think nuclear's pain is natural gas's gain. And you've seen a nice little 2-day pop from EQT.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and, that's a name I've been in. I think I added to it yesterday. I can't remember. But, another name I like.
We were also talking about this one last week, and, we're pretty much right on.
And also, if you want to hit last week, take a look at Hood.
Yeah, I know.
And talk about undercut and rally. There we go.
That's a killer too. I'll look at Hood in a moment. The CQT was a pretty much slam dunk setup. We knew that we're likely to reject this high and come back down to the liquidity zone. If we didn't hold, we were easily going to split the difference between the measured move, which we ended up breaching into a full move down, found support, and then blam. This was almost undercut the 50-day. I mean, if you look at the 50-day, it was right to it, and it popped right up. And now we're back through that key liquidity zone from the 2-hour chart, and we are boogieing, man, because all of a sudden we got lots of buyers looking for first 86.6 fib here. 38.60 is kind of the short-term target on this one. I'll mark that out real quick. And then essentially if we get past that, I mean, the next liquidity zone is pretty much a half measure move play back to the bulls. And then reach that, and it's just a follow through to the top. Look at the daily. We're looking for 86.6 fib previous high, pretty easy. About 41.50 is easy money. So here we breached. Here's our next target, next range to break, and that's about a half mm. And then if we breach that, we'll follow through this pretty easily. I mean, it's look left. That steep can be that steep here. Yes, things tend to take the stairs up and the elevator or window down in some cases, and that is true. But sometimes you get really quick reciprocate moves that are equally as volatile, they're equally rapid. And maybe Superman caught you on the way down and picked your ass back up. We get into last week. Even my dogs made a good call. They were barking, and you're like, "Hey, we should look at Chewy." And Chewy certainly, popped right up. So, I mean, we're right in the game. Liquidity zones are key, and then pivot back on up. There's our measure move target. We're bulls, and we're looking for an outcome again. And then what was the other thing we were going to talk about before this? Just after EQT. Dang it. Slipped my mind. It's gone.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Or it was another Donald Trump trade, but yeah, we'll get into it. But essentially, Chewy was pretty much it was almost too easy. I mean, we're just looking for a bounce off the liquidity zone. Of course, it wicked a little lower than that, but I mean, liquidity-wise, it held. And then there were buyers here, and then back to the north we go, right back to the split, right into reversion. Can it remain bullish from here? It's possible. We've maybe go for like $30. I know there was a penny stock we were scalping the other day. I think it was Veterinary Partners. Pretty similar deal. I don't know what exactly is making this thing move, but I don't know. Maybe it was just my dogs barked in the background of our show and people started catching on.
That was probably it, actually.
Probably no. That's not far from the truth. Sometimes when you have enough people looking at the same equity and you get enough people paying attention to it, and it just kind of manifests itself. People start taking the trade, and sometimes social chatter is worth paying attention to, and that's kind of what we are. We're essentially talking about it. So maybe because we mentioned it or because the dogs mentioned it, we're on to something. I don't know. Maybe we'll just have the dogs pick the stock. Long story short, if we get into a full follow-through move, I mean, 37.68 is pretty easy, a measured move on this thing. Watch for push through the mean reversion of this current trend, though. First, we got to get above this, above $30 really to go anywhere north of this. So, be a little nimble in this part of the move. But if it gives us the follow through above that, it'll be pretty easy. Look for half and whole. Pretty simple. What else did we look at? Did we talk about TLN yet?
I don't know if we did. Talked about it today. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah.
I was going to buy some of that yesterday.
Yeah, I kind of I grabbed a little. But we were looking at this as the undercut and rally, earlier on last week, and then Thursday, or not last week, the week before. And then we get into this part of the move where we're doing it again, undercut the 50 and rally. And now we're looking at following through to my self-proclaimed analyst target, 190.50 or 190.47. And it's on par, man. We're running. Beautiful measured move.
197.61 is my analyst target.
I'm going to mark yours too. What color do you like?
I don't care. Green.
So 190.61?
197.61.
197.61. Wow, way up there. Green. I'll mark it bright green. How about that? And I'll match it to the penny so we can say, hey, we nailed it.
If we didn't have an election today, I was going to buy that yesterday.
Oh man, it's rough when politics get involved with your trades, man. It's there we go.
I mean, the smart is, I mean, you've got an election today and you've got the Fed tomorrow.
Right.
So the smart thing is just sit on your hands.
Pretty much.
But and when what you were going to buy is up 10% the next day, it still doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get a kick in the patootie on that, but I even if I'm expecting news, if I see a slam dunk set up on a chart, I tend to take the trade anyway. So for me, the technicals were all pretty much in line on this one, so I grabbed some, but I might take some profit if it doesn't quite get to that 190.47 target, because that's pretty parabolic, and it has kind of made the 1-for-1 right about there. So, but if it breaks that, yeah, I could see it hitting your target pretty quick. So, beautiful play on that one. I think we can wear our elbows out, pat ourselves on the back for calling that one out. You're welcome. And then ZIM, I mean, that thing, the day we called it out, that thing was just an absolute rip. I mean, we called it out, and then sure enough, into the close, it just skyrocketed, man. And we're well on the way to $26 with that one.
I should have followed you on this one.
Can we get a little higher on that one? I don't know that we're going to breach this 26 pivot just yet. I think we're going to consolidate right where we're at, around 24.5 or so. So you might have a little more time to play this. Maybe we end up with a little 2-hour bull flag that we can play with and break out. But yeah, this was a pretty easy call. I mean, the shipper has its turmoil in the areas they travel through, but the chart has just been flawless on this thing. It just produces really nice setups, and the trade is in the chart on this one. The technicals win this one. And then last but not least, man, that AMD call out was just super smooth. I mean, that thing absolutely nailed my bear target perfectly and hopped off of it. And that's where I took that really nice trade. Oh, very, very nice. Eventually, I think AMD should hold this area and maybe return into a bull trend, but it's going to take some time. I think them and pretty much all the chip makers dumped so much money into AI. It's got to weigh out a little bit of absorption for a while first. Should we get into, I guess SQ? Kind of holding a little lackluster compared to SoFi, but it's still in that zone where I'm like, yeah, it could follow through, guys. Maybe a half move to 76.50 and maybe a full move to $80 is possible. And myself proclaimed.
Kind of like PayPal better.
PayPal's a good one too, and then SoFi is actually kicking ass today. So I'll grab both those charts. Let me get SQ out here. Just my analyst target, $89 is the long run on this thing. I think it'll hit it eventually. And then let me go into PayPal real quick before I go into SoFi. I haven't looked at PayPal in forever. Yeah, it touched off the 50-day, didn't it? Reversion trade underway. Let's see here. How about 80.50 for a short-term target? Might even day trade that. And then from there, let's see if we can get cooking back into some measured move setups. Let me do a little dope on AMD or on PayPal if you don't mind. One of my other moderators, Sig, and I, we geeked out about this thing a few months ago, and breaching this liquidity zone was the goal, and we both got long on it for our long-term stuff, but I haven't looked at it forever. We were looking at the weekly and the market structure thing. That was where the key resistance was, and it sure enough played through. Target is about into that next zone here. Let me break the chart so I can fix that. About 85.20 would be the base of the next zone here we're looking at here. So if we breach this 80.50, it's a pretty easy shot for another $5 bill. Pretty much game on, guys. I'm liking PayPal. And then SoFi was my other doll. That thing is just cooking today. We opened up with just an absolute rip right off the bell. And as soon as it breached that previous regression line, man, it was game on to follow through. I do have a short-term kind of half-move target here. Looking for 11.50 was the extension, and it hit the, what was it? 11.43, I think, was my morning target, and it nailed that. That was this pivot here. And now we're looking at accumulation. If it accumulates and then follows through in this range, I think we got a pretty good shot of following through. This is a primary move, and then the green up here would be the secondary move from that. So we could see an extension all the way up here to like 1180, pretty easy on this one. So yeah, stay tuned on SoFi. And then market structure, dude, pretty much follow through. You got your capitalization, your accumulation, your first short squeeze, your second squeeze, and then here's where your trend is. It started, guys. 1320 is my self-proclaimed analyst target on this thing to eventually follow through, very similar to PayPal and SQ, kind of just reversion targets, really. So staying strong on this one. Oh, what else should we talk about? I think we got one more. Trying to remember what it was. Dang.
Did we hit Hood?
Yeah, Hood, that's one.
All right.
Beautiful play, man. So event contracts kind of brought some liquidity their way for maybe some order flow anyway. I have fan lines on this one, and this is kind of outside of my normal analysis stuff for swing trades, but the fan lines pretty much held true for finding trend lines that'll be responsive to price. And now we've kind of tapped off of a previous reversion target. We were looking for a breakthrough, and then we found a nice 2-for-1 measured move, hit the roof, bounced back, reversion's done. And then we're looking for a follow-through to go back up to probably around $27 would be the outcome of this move, I think. And let me go into the 2-hour real quick and see if I can find the rest of the dope on this thing. There we go. Short-term reversion. Okay, so 2570 is short-term reversion. Why didn't my drawing tool make a mark there? Come on now. As we watch my paint dry, it's boring. Sorry. Reversion right there for the day traders, and if we breach that, we've got a primary move to follow through. Run for like the 86.6 fib. Yeah, $27 is reasonable. 27.80. I think that's where we end up after election. And that would that play on a Trump win? I don't know. It depends on.
I think it's better off with a Trump win than a Harris win, but it's not a direct.
I mean, I know
play,
that
unless they've got a crypto element,
right? That might be the other part of it. We'd have to look at all the moving pieces of that, and crypto is a big part of that. I'd say short term, it's definitely a great bull trade to about 25.70, but long term, it could follow through. We're gonna have to pay attention to what this does. Kind of link it to Bitcoin, and I guess I can do a quick look at Bitcoin if y'all don't mind. Oh, no problem, Marzidi. You're welcome, sir. And yeah, just so you guys know, don't call Kramer. Call us. We don't even bother with a soundboard around here unless it's like a random, drum roll or something. But we do take requests. So if you want to drop a ticker to us, even after the show, if you want to comment on the channel, or if you want to stick one to us live in the chat here, we're open. We'd love to help you look at things, and we'll give you the breakdown and give you the dope on that. Also,
with Bitcoin, just remember BTCL. You can get options on it. So
yes,
I mean that's how I get exposure to Bitcoin. I got calls on BTCL,
and that is another fabulous 2x leveraged T-Rex product, and that thing gives you some great trades. And I'm
having a great trade today.
And then you've got, we have weekly options coming out on NVDX this week.
Weekly options should come out on NVDX on Thursday.
Freaking sweet, man. I can't wait. That's where I'm going to be. I'm going to look for some wheels. And if this had it, I'd be all over this. I've been messing with BITF for running the wheel trade. It's a very cheap $2 stock that's been successful so far. I think I should own it for free within 6 weeks or less, at the way things are going on that one. This one, with weekly options could be easily the same. Only 2x leverage tends to offer about double the premium yield. So if you're wheeling something like this versus a $2 stock, your yield percentage would be about the same. It'd be right up there about between 15 and 20% monthly natural yield. And effectively, when you get outside of this, you're looking for probably a breach of this reversion. So we're looking for 31.30 to push a little higher and shoot for 33.07. But this is going to depend a lot on the election, and Bitcoin's certainly going to be a part of that. So let's look at Bitcoin real quick.
Yep.
See if I get the right damn ticker, because sometimes I throw this in Webull and it comes up with some odd stuff. A while back, I drew a wedge here, and this is when you go into a 2-hour chart, it blows it up. But it was a much smaller wedge on a 5-minute chart, long time ago. Calling out all these targets, kind of nailed them, and yeah, I made some proud moves on that one. But looking at what we have now, I mean, we had a nice primary move, reject, come back and hit that regression line. It gave us a bounce here, and then it finally broke down. Went up with a measured move down, and now we're back to reversion, right back to that regression line is where we're at right now at 70,000. Couldn't have been easier to call out those moves. Technical analysis kind of wins on Bitcoin really, really well until you have election politics start to take effect on it. So be nimble, guys, because this has been one hell of a parabolic rush to 70K. Right off the floor down here to 67 was the base move. We're right in the end of that move here, so just be cautious. Look for accumulation. Maybe we follow through and revert back to 72. Very possible. But let's see what happens with politics involvement on this first, and then maybe we get a little bit more time to hash out the technical details in this thing and find a better price target for the outcome on that. But I think 72 overall is looking pretty strong as far as a return to high. That's where I'm looking anyway, about 72K. So all the other Bitcoin attached stocks or Bitcoin related or even crypto related stuff like, Dogecoin and, SHIB and all the happy stuff tends to trend with it.
And MSTU.
Yeah, MSTU.
Finally up again. Yeah.
That all kind of takes a lot of effect here. So, I mean, this is where let the political crap follow through and do its thing, kind of be nimble if you're trading this, scalp it. Otherwise, if you're not keen on trading volatility like this, this might be a sit on your hands and wait for a better setup type of move, just to be cautious. Is I think the best word of the day for anything Bitcoin related until after this. I mean,
really be cautious for again election and tomorrow's the Fed. So
yeah, and the Fed. Let's last take a quick look at QQQ. Liquidity zones have been holding pretty true. We got a pretty nice textbook double bottom here, right off of our lower zone here. This morning we bounced through. We have this reversion target, which we nailed. Now we're up against half of measured move right now. We were plotting this out in the Bullish Bears this morning. We were scalping futures while we were watching QQQ. Pretty much my MO. I use QQQ to chart for futures because the drawings on Trade of 8 aren't quite what I like for drawing on a futures chart, and I haven't linked it to my TradingView account yet for better drawing tools, so I'll have to get there, but I'm taking my time with it because I scalp things on Webull charting so very well because the drawing tools are just awesome, and the charts are just, they're downright sexy. Look at that, But you get into, scalping some short-term stuff, and it's pretty easy to find your zones and your targets. It's just a matter of trading them, and we found every hitch in the get along. Even through this chop this morning, we're doing pretty good with the scalps, at least I was. And then now we're following through with this measured move. We're actually above the half point, so we're probably going to hit the 493.50 pivot pretty easily. And right now we're inside of this move here, so we're going to stop probably just short of 492.80 for the moment on this breakout here. Watch this bar. And then effectively, if we follow through and breach, the full-on measured move target for the day would be 493.85. So The bulls are in control today. This is our primary. This is our secondary. You can see my block moves. I do this even on a 1 second chart level. The same analysis style works so well. And it plays nice on swing trades too. So we look for simple. We are very cautious when we don't see premium setups like this. And then when we do, we take a little size and make some killer trades. I met my goal before 10 o'clock this morning and kept a few trades going and made it well above and beyond my goals, scalping futures. So now we're looking for whether or not it's going to follow through and the Fed coming out. Let's look at the long-term chart here. I'm going to turn my drawings off for just a moment because we've been chopping over this range. You can kind of see the mean. We're right there, right in the middle. And this is pretty much where we'd expect to be before a Fed event. And now we're compounding out with an election. This is like the left-hand side of a broadening pattern here to boot. So we could go either way. Measured move down takes us close this gap. 473, 472 is about the base of that for a full-on half back of this trend. If things go south with the Fed, I like to think they're going to try to do things to help improve market conditions. I don't know if they care about what candidate sits on the chair next week, or in January. But from this, if we go bullish, we go ballistically bullish and start pushing, 510 for an outcome on this with QQQ at least. So pay attention once this breaks. Once the week is over, we're going to start trending, and it'll either trend for a half back or it'll trend for a bull move. And so far, it's leaning on the bulls. I think the bulls like this, so we'll see. Anything else we should touch on before we go? I think we're about done.
Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, don't forget guns, GUNZ, the self-defense theme. That's up big today because of Palantir.
Yeah.
But we get riots tomorrow, the next day, or all of those days, and people are going to be looking. Not necessarily the lethal, but the non-lethal, the home alarms, all that stuff. I love that theme right now.
And it's kind of been profited, but looking for a return to like $28 for a mean reversion on this thing, subtly a third. So day traders are all over this. Let me have a look at PLTR just real quick. We got a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I like the guns too. That is going to be one hell of an ETF. It's already getting the attention it needs. PLTR, full-on measured move. This is.
You know what I like better than PLTR? I'll take a look at SWBI after this.
Oops. Will do. I already had some dope on PLTR. I forgot. We blew away the 2-for-1, guys. We're going ballistic with this thing. No pun intended. What's market structure look like? Hello, we're above the all-time highs. Damn, Gina. I forgot about this one. I should have jumped in. I scalped this move. That was easy. This one we got a little bit of, but this one I was not expecting.
You need to jump in if you own guns.
True. And it's pulled back just exactly where it would be. I think we'll buy some guns today. Not real ones, the ETF. What was that other ticker you're talking about?
UNZ, remember. SWBI, Smith & Wesson.
SWBI.
Looks like it wants to fill that gap.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this a while back. I think we're finishing that measured move and possibly going to hit the reversion target about 1440. Cool beans. That's a weekly, by the way. Daily looks like we're well in that trend. And let's see here. Half move target. Day traders looking for 1385. And then if we fill that gap, we're looking at 1405 and then follow through for a reversion, 1440. It's right on cue, baby. And that's a reversion range too. The 200-day is probably going to be your moving target. And again, no pun intended. Gun puns. You got to love them. They write themselves. 1475 is about where I would expect that 200 to be if this trend continues. So
yeah, 1474 is a 200-day.
Excellent. Good trades. And then GUNZ is probably right in there. I think I'm going to buy some of that now. Now that I think about it. If I sit on this long enough, maybe it'll have some, dare I say, weekly options.
We need to get a little more volume. We get some more volume, I'll get some options.
There we go.
Yeah, because I own the shares. I would much rather buy options.
Right. Plus, you can, you can set yourself some other strategies in play too if you need to adjust your position. That's what the options are.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the flexibility of options. Buying shares, you own the shares. There's nothing fun to do there.
Right. Then it's just ride price action. But when you've got leverage, and leverage is key. And it's a leveraged ETF. So again, once these start to take off with options, oh wait, this one isn't leveraged, is it?
No.
That's right. This might even be better. A lot less risk in it because there's not leverage. Yeah, I'm gonna take some interest in this one. I'll pick up some shares. I like it. I'm going to have to sit on them for a while for options, and then I'll sell some options on them, but I like it.
There you go.
Good deal, man. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, I think self-defense, either way, it doesn't matter who's in the chair in January.
It doesn't. I mean, a lot of, I much prefer themes that doesn't really matter who's in, because obviously we still have no idea.
True that. Well, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Keep your eyes on the polls, everyone. It's going to happen. Eventually, we will have a decision made and a trend to follow, and then we'll have a theme. Well, thanks again, guys. I will probably be back on Thursday, I think.
I will not. I'm ringing the closing bell on the SIBO tomorrow. And then in Chicago the rest of the week.
Sweet, man. Take lots of pictures, raise a glass and give a toast.
We will.
I'm going to probably be here on Thursday myself. I'm going to look at tentatively bringing in a guest spot. I'm going to see if this follows through. If not, I think Howard Greenberg's always hot to try. He loves being on here with us. So one day we'll have to have the three of us on here. He's a pretty cool guy. I like him.
Hello.
We've made some killer call-outs together as well. So last time he was on, we were talking about MSTR, MARA, and IWM following through. And, dude, we killed it. I mean, it was just fish in a barrel at that point. And we're looking at just speaking of Mara real quick, it came back through that liquidity zone we were worried about, the red zone here, where we're likely to hit this zone. Looking for a reversion trade to about $17 if we follow through with this. But watch the daily candle. If we close a doji here, this whole move takes us lower and we start approaching $13. So be nimble, guys. Things are kind of playing out, and I think a lot of the political crap is going to make this all move a little bit. So just be nimble. Thanks again, guys. Have a great couple of days until Thursday. I'll see you again, and then we're looking into next week. I think we're going to start having some a little more natural flows, and we might even find the right theme to focus on a little bit more by then, I think. So we'll start making some more killer call-outs about then. In the meantime, stay frosty, guys. Thanks again.
This single equation spawned 4 multi-trillion-dollar industries and transformed everyone's approach to risk.
Do you think that most people are aware of the size, scale, utility of derivatives?
No idea.
But at its core, this equation comes from physics, from discovering atoms, understanding how heat is transferred, and how to beat the casino at blackjack. So maybe it shouldn't be surprising that some of the best to beat the stock market were not veteran traders, but physicists.